Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare
Ashtatera Sata Sri Srimad Chidananda Goswami Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivājakacārya Ashtatera Sata Sri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the Summit devotees. All glories to the Summit devotees. All glories to the Summit devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So here we are again after a long sojourn in the Western Hemisphere, back in Mayapur, here with you. And somehow or other, I will try to lead a entry into this today's verse. My voice is a little weak. Yesterday I had a consultation with a speech therapist, and so I just don't sing, so I had to ask somebody else to sing. And pardon me if it's a little weak. So that's just a forewarning. So let's go ahead and get into the 6th verse of the 10th chapter of the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Tapasā edhamānena vidyayā cātma-saṁsthayā vivṛddha-vijñāna-balo nyapād vāyuṁ sahāmbhasā tapasā edhamānena vidyayā cātma-saṁsthayā vivṛddha-vijñāna-balo nyapād vāyuṁ sahāmbhasā. Others? Tapasā edhamānena vidyayā cātma-saṁsthayā tapasā edhamānena vidyayā cātma-saṁsthayā vivṛddha-vijñāna-balo Ladies? Tapasā edhamānena vidyayā cātma-saṁsthayā vivṛddha-vijñāna-balo nyapād vāyuṁ. Tapasā, by penance, he, certainly, edhamānena, increasing, vidyayā, by transcendental knowledge, cha, also, ātma, self, saṁsthayā, situated in the self, vivṛddha, matured, vijñāna, practical knowledge, balaḥ, power, nyapāt, drank, vāyuṁ, the wind, sahāmbhasā, along with the water. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Long penance and transcendental knowledge of self-realization had matured Brahmā in practical knowledge. And thus, he drank the wind completely along with the water. Purport. Lord Brahma's struggle for existence is a personal example of the continued fight between the living entities in the material world and the illusory energy called māyā. Beginning from Brahmā down to this age, the living entities are struggling with the forces of material nature. By advanced knowledge in science and transcendental realization, one can try to control the material energy which works against our endeavors. And in the modern age, advanced material, scientific knowledge and penance have played very wonderful roles in controlling the powers of the material energy. Such control of the material energy, however, can be most successfully carried out if one is a soul surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and carries out His order in the spirit of loving transcendental service. Om Agyanatimantasya Gyananjana Sakaya Chakshundritam Tina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Bhava Mukam Karoti Bhava. So Prabhupada is telling us, here's an example in Lord Brahma of the fight that we all are engaged in. We're all engaged in a struggle. I'm struggling with my voice right now. We all have our universes. Brahma has this pretty big one. But each one of us occupies our own little universe. A body, senses, and in our universe of body and mind and sensual experience, we struggle. We struggle to control it. I think, well, I speak for myself, that of all of the elements of my material universe, the mind is the most difficult to control. Despite my desire, be it unfortunately too weak to chant attentively and to focus. There's a constant struggle with the material energy of my body and mind. Srila Prabhupada then moves on to talk about how through advanced knowledge in science and transcendental realization, one can try to control the material energy which works against our endeavors. So the material energy, he's saying, first of all, that the business of this energy, this external energy of Krishna, known as Maya, that this external energy of Maya is working. Maya works. She's engaged. Prabhupada sometimes she has the thankless task. She has a job to do. She has to oppose us. Our aspiration to enjoy this world. She is assigned to thwart that aspiration. How will we ever learn otherwise? She is sometimes known as Durga. Durga has the sense of a prison house. So this material energy, and her material energy is designed, it's her job to thwart our efforts. To teach us that our hopes, our desires to be happy in ignorance of Krishna, without Krishna, are useless, hopeless. Sometimes I've been asked, I talked about what is surrender? What does it mean to surrender to Krishna? If there's a fight between two parties, then at one point, when one of those parties comes to the conclusion that it's hopeless, I cannot win. I cannot win this fight. I'm overpowered. There's no way. It's either surrender or be destroyed. Right? That's what happens in the material world. When there's a war between two parties. We've experienced this. So when we also come to the point that in our war with this Maya, this material energy, we come to realize it's hopeless. I may get everything in my control and grasp, but I can't stop dying. Then what? Of course, the illusion is so powerful that I constantly forget the futility of my endeavor. And thus I have to be reminded, right? Prabhupada talks about the kick of Maya, when we start to move away, then we get kicked. We get to remind us. That's Maya's task in service to Krishna. When I was initiated in 1971, so it was an interesting time of our movement. There had been a backlog of initiations because Prabhupada, Rameshwar Prabhu, I don't know you weren't in LA in 70, and yeah. But were you there when things were going down with Brahmananda and the whole? No. Okay. Safely? I was also not exposed to all that, but in the summer of 1970, you could say the first real crisis in our movement took place. It was a real crisis. I mean, we've had crises since then, but this was the first. The movement has expanded. Now there was, 35, 40 temples. But something Maya had started to move in. Prabhupada often, when we hear Prabhupada's talking about our personal struggle with Maya, but very often in describing our movement, he describes it as a war with Maya, right? And what's the ammunition in our war? The books are dropping like bombs. He used that analogy. So it's not just our personal struggle. Maya. Now this it's a little hard to understand. I can understand. Okay, Maya is going to thwart our individual aspirations for material enjoyment. But why is Maya trying to dissuade us from Krishna consciousness? And why is Maya trying to thwart our movement? We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But first let's describe how Maya was entering in. Now Maya in this case was not entering in, as like descending from the clouds, Durga on a lion or something like this, and oh, here I am to fight you. No. Through the minds, to the minds of individuals in our movement, the influence of Maya crept in, and there began to be some kind of, you could say, casualness and lack of proper understanding of Srila Prabhupada's position. There was I know one of them was leaving out, his title on one of his books. There was something else, and there was the salt and the sweet rice, the salt and the charanamrita in L.A. There was a number of things that indicated carelessness was creeping in, a carelessness, a lackadaisical, a sort of a Maya. And it got to a point that Srila Prabhupada actually became so disgusted with this and concerned that he asked Tamal Krishna to just take him out, take him somewhere, take him away. He was in Los Angeles at the time. He ended up going to Japan, where there was another incident of when there was Janmashtami and Vyas Puja, and they didn't know how to do the Vyas. He had to stop them doing the Vyas Puja and say, okay, do this tomorrow. And this kind of immaturity was there. It ended up, it culminated in the disastrous. Well, he first of all, Srila Prabhupada, to try to counter some of this influence, he gave sannyas to 4 of his leading devotees who had been somewhat involved in this: Brahmananda, Gargamuni, Vishnujan, and Subal. And these devotees came to the Janmashtami festival, first major Janmashtami festival for the movement in New Vrindavan in 1970. And there, they they began telling the devotees that Srila Prabhupada has, because when Srila Prabhupada left in 1970, he was like, maybe I'm an old man, it's possible that I may not, be able to come back. I mean, this was really, really heavy for them. And these sannyasis began to say, well, Srila Prabhupada has gone because we have not understood his actual position. We have not understood that he is actually an incarnation of God. Thus we have minimized Māyā. This is Māyā. Māyā has so many tools in her bag. How to thwart the material desires of the living entity. And this is one of her last snares. All right? Okay, you've come this far, you've realized that you can't make it in the material world, so here's your last great thing. You could be God. Because naturally, if Prabhupada is God, then, we'll become God and we'll all be... This was the last snare of Māyā. Srila Prabhupada's, fortunately, just prior to this, he had established the GBC. In, I think it was June or so of 1970. So there were GBC members there, and they met and they discussed, and they could recognize the Māyā that had come in. They wrote to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada's response was, expel them. Expel them. Can you imagine? These are sannyasis. And it was the GBC's job to expel them from ISKCON. They were shown the road, basically. They weren't given anything. I mean, this was real expulsion. They weren't given a dime. I think one of them had a quarter. They hitchhiked. They found themselves somewhere, slept under trees, gradually made some plans. One went to Detroit, one went to Gainesville, I think, and Gargamuni went to Gainesville. So they somehow went on, realizing how foolish they'd been. And Prabhupada stayed in India then for some months. And he stopped initiating. This is how serious this crisis was. There's more to it that you can study and so on, what the origins. But then he comes back. Things are now, these other devotees have been they've been brought back in, etc. Things are now, and Srila Prabhupada is back with full force. 1970, first in LA, right? Or Hawaii, I think. First he comes to Hawaii, initiates devotees there, then in LA he initiates, he goes to Boston and initiates, and he comes to New York, and there's going to be 6 days of initiation. Devotees from all over are coming, and I was one of those. And I came up with a group of devotees from Washington, D.C., and there's a lot of number names, Ashtarath and Saptarath and Dasarath, and I was Pancaratna. And then one of our god sisters came up, and Srila Prabhupada, you know how it was in those days, the names were chosen. By this time, Srila Prabhupada was not choosing the names himself. He gave that job to his secretary, and Pradyumna, I believe, was doing this. And he would see the name first when he picked up the beads that he'd chanted on, and there was a name attached to it. So he picks up these beads and he reads out, and your name is Mahamaya. And the whole room starts laughing. Mama, Prabhupada said, Mahamaya is also a servant of Krishna. Mahamaya Dasi. So how is she serving Krishna in things like we experienced in 1970 or things that we're experiencing now? I mean, if you look around in our society, they're both within and without. There's opposition from outside, and there's also trouble inside. Things, not everything that we do is perfect. We're making mistakes sometimes, and very often we can analyze and see that at the root of some problem within our own communities and within our own societies, it's the influence of Maya. Now we think of this influence as being something external because it's external energy. But this external energy, the power of this external energy, which is so vast and so great, is fully dependent on Krishna. This is Krishna's energy. Maya is not like Satan. I mean, in the Abrahamic traditions, you have God and Satan, battling it out, right? You have this external evil that is fighting with God. Maya is actually Krishna's energy, doing His will. So when we see Maya's influence in our own lives, we see Maya's influence in our society, we have to understand that Krishna is doing something here. He's using that Maya energy to get us free, purified, to turn us away from her to Him. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Andhakar. Jaha Krishna Tahe Maya Na Adhikar. It's on the back to Godhead, his slogan. Where there is Godhead, there is no nescience. Where Krishna is the light and Maya is the backside, the absence. Maya does not exist independently. Maya is there only when we turn away from Krishna. So when we turn away from Krishna and we turn towards His illusory energy, then she keeps pushing and pushing us to turn back somehow or other. She pushes us. But then the question comes, well, why does she oppose our movement? We're out there distributing books. I mean, this is our service to Krishna. Prabhupada says we've declared war on Maya. But wait a minute. Maya is a servant of Krishna. We're servants of Krishna. We should be in this together, right? We're both servants, so why don't we cooperate, work together? It's I did not have an opportunity to find a Prabhupada quote or something to answer this question. Maybe Rameshwar Prabhu can come up with something.
Why is Maya doing that to my mind?
Well, that's Maya and me. First, I want to talk about Maya and us. Okay? Maya and me is a little more easy because, I open the door to Maya and she says, here I am. That's basically what's going on. But what is it about our movement? Why is it that we have to struggle? There are interesting ways to look at this. First of all, through our struggle, through our fight, through our engagement in this battle, we become stronger. This particular verse talks about long penance. So our penance, our austerity, is especially to work, to engage in Srila Prabhupada's movement to spread Krishna consciousness. Sometimes with great austerity. I mean, talk to any of the older devotees, especially nowadays, perhaps not as difficult. But when we were in the 70s, what we had to go through in order to serve this movement could be really, really austere. Mayapur itself, I mean, this when I arrived here in Sridham Mayapur in 1976, we had one telephone, which worked 1% of the time. We had one vehicle, which was an old army jeep without doors. And we had one motorcycle, which was, anyway, if you want, that was a little risky. That's what we had. We did have really nice mangoes and lichus. That was Srila Jayapataka Maharaj. When I came, he understood that he. Just after I came, he brought 20 devotees from the West. They were in Vrindavan, he didn't go and get them, but they were all in Vrindavan. Prabhupada told them to go and announce that anyone who would like to come and serve in Mayapur could come and serve without the permission of their temple president. They didn't have to ask, which was a real no-no in those days. So 20 devotees land up here. All, what we call them in America, they're called greenhorns. They're just fresh off the boat, so to speak. What's going on? So food, of course, is the most important thing for an army. So Jayapataka Maharaj used to arrange big baskets of mangoes and lichus, and there were many stories about how he fed us, and also how he engaged us in swimming in the Ganges and so on. But it was austere. So it's one of the ways, I believe, that are reasons, you could say, why Maya puts out these obstacles is to make us stronger, to give us something, to work for, to give us the success, to give us the glory, just like Srila Prabhupada when he was fighting for Juhu. There was a kind of classical battle. And at the end, what did he say? It was a good fight. So I suggest that some of the reasons that Maya serves Krishna and making it, little difficult is to glorify the devotees' effort and to strengthen them, to form them up. I believe we're all being formed. We're being formed by Krishna. We're being prepared. We went through the door, all of us. We stepped over the threshold. We entered in to Krishna's path, saranagati. We stepped in. He's taken charge of us. He's taken charge of all of us. He's forming us up. He's clearing out those impurities, anarthas, that we are carrying for eternity. He's molding our strength, strengthening us by giving us some challenges sometimes, strengthening our determination, bringing out our love. We worship the gopis, whose love to experience, to engage in their loving relationship with Krishna, they had to overcome, they had to cross great challenge. I mean, for a married woman in a traditional society, village society like Gokul and Vrindavan, to leave the wives of the Brahmanas. When they left to serve Krishna, they came to him and they said, you can't send us back now. We've crossed the line. We're gone. We can't return. The challenges that were put there for them to cross over, to strengthen and bring out their deepest love. The deepest love comes out when those challenges are there. So Maya is working on us. Strengthening us, giving us a challenge, challenging us to face ourselves, to look at ourselves, really look at ourselves. When we're chanting Krishna's name and we're trying to, and then we get distracted, Maya is saying, look at you. Look at who you are. You think you're some kind of devotee? And you can't even sit still for a minute? You can't even focus for 5 seconds on Krishna's holy name? He's present, He's there, He's personally there, and you've got to go off thinking about something? Try again. Try again. Like a coach, right? You know, in I don't know, any of you have been in some sort of sports or something like that. The coach, you know, you try something and you fail. What does the coach say? Forget it, get out of here. No. Maybe they might at one point. You're hopeless. But Maya never does that. She'll challenge and challenge, but she'll never say, you're hopeless, give up. That thought may come. But by the grace of Guru and Krishna, we get renewed strength. And again, we confront the Maya, our attachment to Maya. Because it's not, Maya has no, control over us without our willingness to be controlled by Maya. If we turn away and face Krishna, then she has to go. She has to go. But we keep looking back. We keep turning back. We're so conditioned. We're so impure. So in my own case, why? It's because I lack the strength, I lack the determination, I lack the love. I lack the love of Krishna that would keep me focused on Him and not His illusory energy. He is the actual source of all pleasure and happiness and attraction. But to experience that, we can only do so as servants, as lovers, not as enjoyers, not from the place of aham, mamadi. The 10th offense in chanting. Namamhatmya shutopi priti rahito nara aham mamadi paramo namyo pi aparada krit. When that aham mamadi, it's I, it's me, I am a devotee even. Even that sort of thinking, self-centeredness, that ego, when that is most important, then priti rahajro, that priti, that raga does not arise. Therefore, trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishana amanina monadena kirtaniya sada hari sada. When we enter into that place of amanina, karpanya, dainya, humility. And in regards to our movement, Maya is challenging us also. She's challenging us because, she's got to do her job. She's got to do her job to keep the materialistic jivas imprisoned. That's her job. And if they start to look towards our movement, then those who want to exploit them, they have to be facilitated. But we have declared war. We have declared a war on Maya. We've declared that this time, Maya, this time, we've come with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he has a plan. He has a plan to introduce the Sankirtan movement in every town and village of this world. And we have joined his army. We have our commander, our Senapati Bhakta, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, And we are his soldiers, and we're going to fight. We're going to fight. And in doing that fight, we have to also take cognizance of what Srila Prabhupada ends here. Such control of the material energy, however, can be most successfully carried out if one is a soul surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and carries out his order in the spirit of loving transcendental service. He's saying, let's use this modern age. Let's use all of these advancements, which he describes here. Advanced material scientific knowledge and penance have played very wonderful roles in controlling the powers of the material energy. Let's use Maya's own powers against her influence. That was Prabhupada's magic, his expertise, to use the same energy that Maya has used to enthrall this world, to use that energy to break her hold. That is our movement. I only have a few more minutes, so I'll end. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to explore this topic. I hope I've done a little bit of justice to the question, but I think, Rameshwar, you maybe want to add.
Hare Krishna. First of all, that was brilliant, because explaining that when Maya attacks individually or our whole movement, there's actually a divine purpose that we can't see, to strengthen, to glorify, to increase our resolve that no matter what, we're going to get up again when Maya knocks us down. So,
and to cleanse sometimes.
Prabhupada gave the example of Lord Jesus and his preaching and how the world killed him. And he is the most glorified for that. But getting back to our modern ISKCON, mass book distribution began in Christmas 72. So all of 73 was the transformation of our movement by book distribution. It was a totally different movement. So the leading preachers at the end of 73, their reward was going to be going to India for the first time for the Mayapur festival here in 74, February 74.
Yeah.
All the greatest preachers are all in one place for Maya to target. Well, the best preachers, the best everything. So what happened, because I experienced this also, some devotees, very innocently and mistakenly, collected certain pails for serving out prasadam. Those pails came from the cleaning of the latrines. They were completely contaminated. Who knew?
Yeah.
You're sitting there, you got your banana leaf and rows in the Lotus building. We're all sitting down, and they're serving out prasadam. Within 1 or 2 days, everyone, the greatest preachers of our movement who had come as a reward, they're lying in their own fluid waste. It was mass dysentery to all the preachers that had come. Mass dysentery. And people thought they were going to die. You couldn't get up for 2-3 days. When Prabhupada first saw it, it hadn't been explained yet that they were really sick. He said, his exact quote when he first saw it was, "They have come 10,000 miles to sleep." All the corridors were filled with
Yeah.
almost comatose bodies of the best preachers in the movement. That's Maya attacking our movement that year. And so many lessons, but on a practical level, we were attacked, and we're not going to let it stop us, because we had gotten this taste of Sankirtan and book distribution and preaching. And even though Maya knocked us down, the realization of everyone when they finally were able to crawl back to their countries was, we're getting up again and we're going to battle Maya. In fact, it was like, you do that to us, watch what we gonna do to you. That was the whole mood following this disaster of the first Mayapur festival.
I think also that perhaps was one of the first times where the slogan, getting purified by the Dham.
Yes, that was yes.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. So,
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you very, very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai, Jai, Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai.